Hey everybody out there in the internet world, and finally welcome to the current Dark Avenger comic book review. We shot the last episode yesterday. We are now caught up today with the review of the comic books that were released on January 18th, 2012. And first off, I'd like to show one comic off that I want Mike to actually zoom in on. I got it from Mike for his birthday. Certificate, not from Midtown, but from Dynamic Force. This is an official comic book. It's The Punisher #1, signed by John Romita Sr. It's number 203 out of... Oh, good? Okay. It's 203 out of 399. I don't know why they didn't do 400. Maybe the 400th one is not around. But, yes. And this is going to actually be taking the place of Old Comics of the Week. This old comic is the last old comic I'll be getting. It's Uncanny X-Men, number 140. I think it's 141. Love that cover with Wolverine. It's a possible future. It's one of those futures from the X-Men. But anyway, this is going to be taking the Old Comic of the Week's spot, the signed John Romita, from next episode on. This was a very hard comic to get, let me tell you.
Awesome gift.
Yes. So, also before we get into this, I started reading Batwoman. I saw your comment, Mark, by the way. I agree with what you said. I started from the beginning, and you're going to be happy. I'm actually enjoying it. Unfortunately, I couldn't read all 5 issues due to the fact that I had a huge stack of comics. However, I am liking it, and hopefully I'll catch up in time to be able to review issue 6 that's coming out in February. I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to have some days where I'm working this week, so I'll probably bring the other issues into work and read them. We have 3 independent books this week, Big 2 and DC, and in the Big 2 we got some big stuff, and here we have #1 coming out. So let's jump into it first with Dynamite. Okay, move that, I forgot that's Dynamite. Okay, Voltron #2. Jumping back and forth, this is going to be like an origin story really, I could tell right off the bat. First of all, it jumps back and forth from where they're preparing for an alien invasion on Earth in 2012, and then you're in the 2112 or 2114. I want to make sure I'm right. I think it's 14 though.
Yeah, 2124.
Oh, 2124. I'm sorry about that. 2124, and then it jumps into the present day. That's the present day, and then 2014 is the past in this book. And in 2124, it's the Voltron force chasing after Zarkon's forces to get Voltron back, and in the present, or in the past as far as this is concerned, it's the either creation of the Voltron force or it's Zarkon basically preparing the Earth for an alien invasion. An alien shows up, but it's not the alien invasion alien, it's an alien that's trying to help Earth out and help protect Earth and give it some valuable information, but the armed forces of Earth take him as a hostile, thinking he's a hostile, and he's like, I'm here to help you, and all you're giving me is violence and threats. Let me talk to your president, and that's where it ends. So basically, we're going to be jumping back and forth on this first story arc. I could tell, I could feel it already. So if you guys want an origin story, here it is. It's a retelling of the origin here. I'm enjoying it, but I'm going to be happier when the origin or the retelling of the origin's over and we just get right back into Voltron doing what Voltron does best. #1 this week. I was looking forward to this, and if you guys have been watching the comic rundown on CCC, you definitely know that already. Lord of the Jungle #1. Wasn't going to get this, changed my mind automatically. Lord of the Jungle #1 is a retelling of Tarzan's origin. Tarzan does make an appearance in 3 or 4 panels where he's in his parents' treehouse, the treehouse that his parents made years before, and really it's more of a flashback of how Tarzan's parents came to be on the island, which they were stranded because they saw something on a boat that they apparently weren't supposed to see. Lord, I forgot his name already, Stockholm, I want to say, I think it is. Lord Greystoke. My bad. Lord Greystoke and Alice's wife get stuck on the island. He gets attacked by a gorilla. The gorilla is killed by the mother, by Alice. Alice gives birth to Tarzan. We'll call him Tarzan because we all know he's Tarzan. But unfortunately, she's suffering from an ailment and she passes away. That's how she dies. then we find Tarzan's ape mother, how she loses her child. The apes invade the home. They kill Lord Greystoke, and in replacement for the dead baby monkey, the mother takes Tarzan with her, and the baby in the crib that I was wondering why was there a baby's skeleton in the crib. It turns out it was the baby monkey, and it all ends with Tarzan and Mama Ape. But we all know the story. The only reason why I'm spoiling this book so much is anybody who knows Tarzan knows the origin of Tarzan. So really there was nothing new to be told. Really there was nothing that we didn't already know about Tarzan here.
The storyline looks interesting.
The story and the artwork is really awesome. I would highly recommend it. Dynamite does a number one $1 thing. So if you're really interested, it's only $1. But unfortunately, I'm sure when issue 2 comes out, it's going to be a little bit more than $1. It could go up to $3.99. It could be $2.99. But I'll be honest, give the $1 one a chance. And if you're enjoying the origin, maybe you should check it out. Because I'm sure in the next issue, it'll either be Tarzan as a kid, or it's going to be Tarzan as a full-fledged adult. But they are obviously going to be doing an origin before they jump into the Lord of the Jungle. So, just letting you guys know that. And I'm waiting for Clayton to show up. Concluding the independents this week with IDW Ghostbusters number 5. I got the cover I wanted again. This time I picked the right cover artist. That's why. Okay, new story arc. And, pleasantly, I'm happy to announce it has nothing to do with the movies. There's a haunted carnival up in upstate New York, I believe it is. I want to say it's upstate New York. I believe it's upstate New York. I want to show the artwork off anyway. Yes, it is. It's upstate New York. I'm not going to try to say this name. It's ridiculously ridiculous. So Ghostbusters are still suffering from the ramifications, though, at the end of the last issue, where there is now a fitness requirement. And none of them are fitting the requirements, so unfortunately, Mr. What do you call him? What's his name? I hate him so much. Peck suspends all calls. They can't take calls. They can't take what do you call it? They can't take any kind of case. They are going to be paid for it. I forgot, what did Bateman exactly say? He stopped the funding, he restricted calls, and he pulled all their permits. So basically they're out of business until they catch up to their fitness requirements. But he says, I'm lifting all that, there's a case in upstate, and we got a plane waiting for you. And of course, Vakeman's not too happy about Peck pulling the strings, but they go. And they get to the, they call it Funland, I believe. Fantastic Land. They break in, and that's where the book ends. Now, I have to say something about recommendations for this book, because a lot of people ask if I can recommend it, if I shouldn't recommend it, is there action, is there more talking than action, because a lot of people don't like talking. For people that are huge Ghostbuster fans, like myself, like my brother, like people who are fans of not only the movie, but the game and everything else, I would recommend it for them. For people who are brand spanking new to Ghostbusters, let me tell you one thing. This entire book was 90%, maybe, dare I say 95% talking. It was all leading up to the Ghostbusters going to upstate New York and fighting the ghost. They have not fought any ghosts in this issue yet. It's a lot of talking, a lot of funny quirks, but that's what the Ghostbusters are all about. It's not, okay, this book is all about the 4 Ghostbusters going in, fighting ghosts, and that's the end of the first story, and then we're going to jump into the next story, and they're going to fight ghosts. No, it's a lot of talking, it's a lot of interaction between not just the Ghostbusters, but with Walter Peck. They're obviously pushing Peck to be a main cast for this book. There's a lot of things that go on with Ghostbusters other than just busting ghosts. So if you're not one to enjoy, like this book, for example, where it's a lot of talking, a situation is created, and then there's talking that leads into the situation, and then they start the situation, and then it's to be continued, this won't be your book. For people like me, I'm fine with it because I'm used to reading or watching the Ghostbusters, you know, the way they are. It's not just, okay, we're going to go in. No, there's a lot of stuff that leads into it. It has a lot more substance. There's a lot more substance to the story than just busting ghosts.
It builds up a foreshadowing. So
no, it doesn't build up a foreshadowing. It builds up towards the actual busting of ghosts.
Right, but then building up.
It builds up, right? It builds up to the main point. That's
well, well, that's what it
exactly. It builds up to it. So if you're not up to books that'll build up before the action starts, you might not like this. Me, however, I have been hooked again now. Now that they've moved away from the movies and they're showing that they can move beyond the movies and still be interesting and funny to read at points, this book is definitely for anybody who likes Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And now we're going into Marvel this week. First book, continuing from exactly where they left off, The Avengers, number 21. This book is continuing directly with the events from the last book. Where issue 20 ended, this issue is just starting directly. The first page starts right off where they left off. Unfortunately, though, all that happens in this book, and I could sum it up in a sentence: the Avengers got bested by Hammer. See, in the New Avengers, it's the New Avengers versus the New Dark Avengers. In the Avengers books, it's the Avengers versus Hammer. So they're fighting Norman Osborn on two fronts. The Avengers main team is going after Hammer. The New Avengers are going after the New Dark Avengers team. And that's where it's going to go. I'm guessing that's what this whole Dark Avengers thing is. You know, Marvel pushed this Dark Avengers versus New Avengers versus the Avengers thing. There were posters. There was an advertisement with Norman Osborn and his new Dark Avengers team. And I think Marvel thought this was going to get a lot bigger. This was going to be a lot bigger than it turned out to be. Unfortunately, when Marvel announced the Avengers versus X-Men, nobody showed an interest in the Avengers versus the New Dark Avengers anymore because we've seen it already. So what we're saying as we're reading this is a good story. However, I can't wait for this story to end because the next story is going to be Avengers versus X-Men. So we're all counting down. This is issue 21. I believe issue 23, no, I think it's 24 or 25 of the Avengers is going to start up the Avengers versus the X-Men. So we all know the Avengers are going to best the New Dark Avengers, and we all know they're going to move on to fighting the X-Men. And that's why this story to us now doesn't mean as much as it tried to when they started it. However, I am enjoying reading it. However, it's once again rehashing something that we've seen already. We've already witnessed the Dark Avengers fall to the Avengers. Did we have to see it for a second time so soon? No. This story actually could have waited until 2013 when the Avengers vs. X-Men ended. I would have much rather seen just a regular story going on, another story going on in the Avengers and New Avengers book, up until Avengers vs. X-Men, had Avengers vs. X-Men, and then start 2013 off with Avengers vs. the New Dark Avengers, because then it would have given us A, more time to recover from Siege and everything else, B, we would have forgotten a bit more about the Dark Avengers, and C, it wouldn't feel like they're just rehashing old ideas to filler up between Fear itself and Avengers vs. X-Men, because that's what this really feels like. A nice filler. A really, really good filler in between two major stories. And I really, to be quite honest with everybody, I'm glad everybody likes Norman Osborn as this huge bad guy now. Personally, I wouldn't be upset if they put him back in the Green Goblin costume and sent him back to the Spider-Man comics alone.
Now that would be good.
That wouldn't bother me.
No, it wouldn't bother me.
I would be all for it.
That.
Exactly. I would be all for seeing Norman Osborn go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs again and go back to being just green.
Using that reference Goblin now from that last episode.
Yes, I am. Another book that's basically a lot of, this is like a, I don't want to say it's a filler, but it feels like this is more talking and understanding about what's going to be going on in the story. The Invincible Iron Man 512. Iron Man gets taken to the hospital. He's trying to explain to the people, you can't help me, my arc reactor, you're going to kill me by using the defibrillator. And he ends up having to push them off, which is bad on his part, and he ends up running away. And then the law is now after him because of what happened in New York, where his suit kind of crapped down on him. And things aren't going well for his case, where they now know that he was drunk during Fear itself. So everything's going against Tony Stark once again, and he's on the run from the law. Then Mandarin is attacking China with his droids, or his Detroit. They look like Detroit Steels to me. I'm sure they had a name. Remember, guys, I had to read all these. between last night and today, and there's a lot of books here. So actually, Michael is going to be taking one book because I couldn't really read too much of it. There's a lot of dialogue that goes on between Mandarin and Ezekiel. You have to read the book, to be honest. It's a lot of talking, and it would take an entire review apart to explain everything that goes on.
It does look like that it's building up and it's showing more of Iron Man.
But now the General is sending Rhodes in, which is War Machine, to confront Iron Man. And it's basically left off with the droids attacking China. And that's where it's to be continued. And the next cover looks really interesting for the next book. It's going to be Iron Man versus War Machine. Because you guys know War Machine's going to be fighting. I don't think it's going to be a fight. I think he's going to try to... He has to because he's a soldier after all. Even though he's War Machine and Iron Man gave it... Yeah, Iron Man gave him his suit, but he works for the military.
Okay, so then that explains why then.
Really good though. I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of talking though. I am warning you guys, there's a lot of talking in this, not too much action. It's all leading into bigger things in the next issue. Now, I read through this. I thought it was good, but Michael doesn't have any books to review this week except one, so I decided to give this to him. Daredevil, number 8.
Okay.
Really good, though. I loved it.
Yes, Daredevil, number 8. Alright, so basically, in the last issue...
which was Amazing Spider-Man 677.
Yes. We found out that Black Cat was caught by the police because of the spider tractor. So... in the beginning of the story, she finds out that it was someone else that robbed not just Black Cat, but for both of them. Both her and Spider-Man. So, all the team, Daredevil, Spider-Man, Black Cat, go to find out who did this and who's behind this. Now, I have to admit one thing, though. The way I saw the relationship between Daredevil and Black Cat were going, I thought... I see a little connection, but I'm thinking, nah, maybe not. So
it's supposed to build into Spider-Man. You know, he has a great life now, but his relationship life is basically in the pooper.
Well, basically, yeah. And when they were done,
artwork's really good.
Yeah, the
Wait, let me show that one page. There's that one page I want to show.
Which one?
Was
it that one?
No. That one.
Yeah, right here. On this panel.
This page.
Yep. So then, I mean, when I saw Daredevil and Black Cat together, my jaw just dropped afterwards. But just skipping that, basically they were going to get the hologram thing, I think it's called. Spider-Man said it. Because they want to, you know, wonder who's behind all this. So. Basically, that's why they're getting that. I think it's the hologram. Was it?
Yeah, it was a hologram projector.
Yeah, the hologram. Thank you, hologram projector. And the ending, though, is really
question mark.
Yeah, because
but it leads into the next story. Now, even though this was a team up, they're still in the last 2 pages leading into the next story.
Right,
which
but just shows last panel. Whose grave was it?
His father.
Oh, his father's, right. I remember. His father's grave is gone.
Mike, you're not holding it.
Oh. And we don't know how or why that happened. And that's where they leave us off, to be continued. I really liked it, and
I would highly recommend it too, and I love the cover.
Yeah, the cover and everything else, and the storyline is just phenomenal.
There's going to be another crossover, you know, between Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Punisher. So now it's going to reach into 3 titles instead of just 1, instead of just 2.
Sure, with Punisher in it, that's going to be something I'm going to be
forward to
into.
Daredevil's awesome comic. Thank you for suggesting it. Everybody who asked me to check it out.
I felt bad for Spider-Man though. You know.
Of course, but you know what? They're trying to make him too real too. Also,
yeah.
So okay, Uncanny X-Force 20. Phantom X is on trial for killing Kid Apocalypse. Betty, her brother Captain Britain, wants her to come back to the Corps and become Lady Britain again. X-Force, as far as Wolverine and Deadpool, are not happy with the Nightcrawler. Deadpool actually and the Nightcrawler from the Age of Apocalypse get into a verbal fight, because Deadpool can't stand the attitude on Kurt from, we'll call him Nightcrawler because that's who he is for now at least, until the original Nightcrawler, please God, comes back. He doesn't like him. He says, you're not like the Kurt I know. You know, it's a whole thing where this Kurt kind of has like a negative outlook on life, whereas the original Nightcrawler was blooming with his positive outlook on life and his love for everything and his attitude. Let's put it this way. This Nightcrawler's attitude is completely opposite from the Nightcrawler we all know and love.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm. And they find out that Psylocke and Phantom X were taken. They go to, I forget what the place is called exactly, but Betty's trying to be convinced to change back and to go back to being Lady Britain, and Phantom X is on trial, and he admitted that he shot the kid, but that's because there was no saving him. They don't want to hear it. They thought that there was a way, and they sentenced him to death. Where did they go? Where were they going? Otherworld. Thank you. They go to Otherworld. Wolverine. It was so funny. Deadpool's like, "Are you sure this is safe? You know, I'm not so sure about anything." And he's like, "Don't worry. It's so safe over there. It's like wizards and pixies and fairies and whatnot." Deadpool sticks his head through the portal. And what did he say?
Old wizards.
Oh, kindly old wizards, huh? And he loses his head. That was hilarious. And they just jump. They get thrown right into battle. And the last panel shows Phantom X. Oh, this is a spoiler, by the way, so I'll give you guys a second to fast forward a bit. Okay, it shows Phantom X getting ready for execution, Wolverine, and basically the knocked out X-Force, and it shows Psylocke as Lady Britain to be continued. Interesting story. It's going interesting so far.
The next issue looks really amazing.
Next issue might be a little bit better, though.
Mm.
It's interesting. Let's leave it at it's interesting, and we'll continue along from there. But I've always enjoyed X-Force. I'm really enjoying X-Force. It's just interesting, and I don't like the new Nightcrawler because I'm used to. I guess I myself am still used to the old Kurt, so it's going to get some getting used to with this new Nightcrawler. But I'd say check it out. Next is another book that Mike wanted.
Yes.
Last episode, I gave you X Factor. This episode, I give you a .1. X-Men Legacy.
Oh.
Number 260.1.
Yes. Alright, basically to sum up the story, it's all about the X-Men that you see on the cover who are fighting against demons. Not kind of like the supernatural but it's more along lines of that. So I like how the New Mutants, they're trying so hard in school and they're saying, how are we supposed to study with all that noise outside? This school's horrible. I found that to be really funny, but the fight scene was great. Rogue, actually, I didn't know that she could absorb power. Rogue, sorry. How did I say it? That she could absorb powers, and she turns into like this big rock fire type person.
Well, she has that touch thing. If she touches you, she can get your powers.
Right, so she borrowed it from 2 of the New Mutant students. And that's how they won against the demons. Basically, she just knocked them out. I will not spoil the ending because the end is a big shocker, and I think you're going to have to find out for yourselves.
It involves Gambit.
It involves Gambit, and
I like the cover.
Yeah, I like the cover too, and the artwork's great. But the ending, guys, it's something that's going to kind of shock you too, as it did when I read Daredevil. Sort of. In another way of saying it. But it's recommended to get, so I will be getting the next issue of that as well.
Okay. We're moving into the last 3 books, I believe. Yep, from Marvel, and they're all Spidey books. First one is Avenging Spider-Man number 3, the conclusion with Red Hulk. This book the ending was kind of funny. Spider-Man uses a piece of the crystals that hurt the Red Hulk, and notice I said hurt. Yes, he's fine. We all knew that was going to happen. And he challenges Rancor. I can't remember. I believe it was Rancor.
It reminds me of Doomsday from Superman. Even the cover itself, I'm like saying, oh my god, it looks like Doomsday. And the battle was intense, though. Yeah, is it?
No, next one.
Was it?
No.
I think it is Rancor. Yeah. Oh,
Raktar.
Raktar.
So Spidey challenges him, gets himself beaten up pretty bad, and then he uses that one of the pieces, and he actually, spoiler here, cuts his shorts off, and basically he humiliated him in battle, and that is what causes him. That's how Spider-Man basically bested him, and they take him back. Red Hulk is now alive again. He wants to beat the crap out of Raktar, and basically he gets taken back underground, and it's basically a happy ending, except the Mole Man is kind of not so happy that he got bested, and that's where they leave you off. The next issue has him with Hawkeye. Now, with all the comic books I'm getting, if the stories are really not, if they're a lot like this, I'm not saying I was disappointed. I mean, it was just the first story, but if the stories kind of keep following along the lines of just average or okay, I'll probably end up dropping Avenging Spider-Man, because this is really a, what do you call it? Spider-Man team-ups, like Deadpool team-ups and everything else. So to be honest, if it's just another team-ups book, which it really is, and it's not going to be as good as the other Spider-Man books, I'm probably just going to let it go, because I know a lot of people are actually dropping this for Scarlet Spider-Man. Me, I'm willing to keep this until I feel the stories just get too stupid. This was a very way to start the series. But anyway, something everybody told me not to drop. Venom number 12, and on the bottom here we have 24 years of Venom, because on the Spider-Man comic we have 50 years of Spider-Man. I'll show you guys that when we get to it. So Venom and Jack-O-Lantern are working together because they want, they go in because they have to steal something from this casino. Spoiler, it turns out it's toxin, and that's what sets the Venom symbiote off. And basically, of course, we all know Flash Thompson loses control, goes completely ape crap, and Venom wants to destroy the toxin, whereas Jack-O-Lantern wants to save the toxin. So Venom and him get into a huge fight, as you can see. Great artwork, as always.
Oh yes, absolutely. I could agree with that.
And he gets away. Venom calms down. Unfortunately, another spoiler here, he breaks up with Betty and he goes back to drinking. And that's where it's left off with. And then we have the Red Hulk making his way to Vegas, because we have number 13.1234 and then number 14 coming out.
Yeah.
I think it's 13, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 0.12 and 3. And then, no, it's a 6-part epic. The 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 14. Yep. But anyway, next story arc looks interesting. Okay, we're out of time. I'm glad you guys told me to hang on to this. I did enjoy it a bit more than I thought I would. The last issue probably was just not my, cup of tea, so to speak. This was a lot better. Maybe because the action started to pick up again. Maybe it's because he's finally, there's starting to be a conflict between Flash and the Venom symbiote. So I'm glad I kept it. I would recommend checking this out. And with that, we're going to go into the next part with one more Marvel book, and the rest is all DC. So I'll see you guys in the next part.